Everybody can be good at something, which is great. But nobody can be good at everything, which is fine. And yet, if you have a friend who's trying to do something that they definitely should not be trying to do because it's going to be a total disaster, you're still expected to support them, aren't you? Because if you don't, you're a bad friend, right? You're expected to encourage them to go down this doomed path, which is going to lead to rejection, failure, embarrassment, humiliation, whatever. It's never made any sense to me. Let me give you an example. I have a friend. To protect her identity, let's just call her not Melissa. Yeah, that works. Not Melissa wants to be a comedy writer, like for movies and TV. This is a terrible idea for her. Now, is it a terrible idea because it's a really competitive field and lots of other people are trying to do it and it's hard to break through no matter how good you are? No. It's a terrible idea because she doesn't have a sense of humor. Why does she want to be a comedy writer if she doesn't have a sense of humor? She doesn't know she doesn't have a sense of humor. It's just one of those things. If I ask you if you can dunk a basketball, you're probably going to give me the correct answer. You're not going to get that one wrong. But if I say, do you have a sense of humor? She's heard people say things. She's heard other people laugh at the things those people said. She's mimicked the behavior, and she thinks she's good to go. Not her fault. Not her fault at all. So, not Melissa tells me that she's reading a book on writing comedy. And I think to myself, couldn't hurt. And then she says to me, oh, I know you're really interested in philosophy. And there's a quote in this book about comedy from Aristotle. Now, if you know anything about Aristotle and comedy, you know two things. First, you know that Aristotle wrote the equivalent of an entire book about comedy. The other thing you know is that this book was lost during the so-called Dark Ages, and we don't have any of it, not even enough for one little quote. But I didn't want to say this to not Melissa because I thought it might hurt her feelings, and that wouldn't be very supportive, would it? And yet my curiosity wouldn't let me say nothing. So I said, oh, what did Aristotle say about comedy? Now keep in mind that Aristotle is one of the greatest thinkers who ever lived, and also keep in mind that he was not a shitty stand-up comic. Here's the Aristotle quote about comedy. Comedy is tragedy that happens to your mother-in-law. Hopefully you're all not laughing at the joke, but never mind. So here was my reaction to that quote. But I wasn't going to say anything to not Melissa because I couldn't think of anything that I could say in response to that would be truly supportive. So I was just going to drop it. But then I was visited by the ghost of Aristotle. And this is what you want an actual Aristotle quote? This is what the ghost of Aristotle said to me. Come on, man. You can't let her put those words in my mouth. And I said, I know! Damn it! Get out of my bedroom. So I said to not Melissa, and I was still trying to be as supportive as I could, so I phrased it this way. I said, I don't think Aristotle actually said that. Yes, he did. It's right here in the book. Okay, but is there like a footnote or an explanation where the quote comes from? No. But why would he say that Aristotle said that if he didn't actually say it? And I said to myself, I don't know, maybe he was joking! You see the irony, right? She's reading a book about how to, yeah, you got it, okay. So at this point, I did change the subject because I knew there was nothing I could say in response to that would be truly supportive at that point. And maybe the people who say that we should support our friends in these situations, even when it seems to fly in the face of common sense, are onto something, because that interaction actually happened several years ago, and not Melissa recently received her first Emmy Award for comedy writing. Nah, not really. I think she works at Starbucks.